Sounds good.
Hello, everyone. If you're watching the replay, I've not done any of my homework and I don't have it pulled up or anything. Ashley's going to be a tad bit late, and I assume Bree's going to hop on at any point, but we will see because you just never know how people's day has gone. So we shall see. But I'm really excited for this live because I think it's just going to be fun. And I have things I just want to chat about, honestly.
I'm excited. It's a fun topic.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. So we shall see. If anybody would like to get a hold of Bree for me, feel free to try. Hey, Ray.
Hello.
Aria, what are you doing here? Hey, Jess. Hey, Vina. Hey, Jennifer. Here for the fun times. Here we are.
Come on.
Bree is the fun time, so let's hope she shows up. It's not nearly as fun of a live without her. Hello. Alice's, hello. I feel like I'm just killing time. We were kind of killing time in the studio behind the scenes, and I was like, might as well kill time with the chat, like let you all in. But yeah, I don't know. So I had the idea for this live, I don't know, just because of, okay, no, that's not true. I do know. I do know what gave me this idea.
Tell us.
It was basically, there's these multiple, okay, so I have several interactions with authors, right? I have a lot of mutual authors, and I really enjoy getting to know them on social media. Some of my favorite accounts just happen to be authors, right? On Twitter or Bookstagram or TikTok or whatever. And some of them, talk about a lot of things other than just their books. Like they will talk about Palestine, or they will talk about current events, or they will talk about kind of larger conversations in romance or in publishing. And I just really enjoy listening to them, but we have kind of these divides between reader and author spaces. And I was like, well, what do we want from authors specifically? Because there's like these few things in my brain where I either really like that they did something, or I kind of dislike it, or I'm like, I wish that you would give me this instead. So that's what my idea was. So we'll see how it all pans out. Hello. Roger, Deja, hello. Yeah. Robin. I feel like everyone's here for Bree and Ashley. My people, I need you to come here, please. It's fine.
They're not here for me.
I don't have imposter syndrome at all. It's fine. Well, Steph, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your channel, just in case.
So I'm Steph. My channel is Novelty Corner. I am in Australia and currently melting, so if anyone can hear the air conditioner at any point, I profusely apologize, but I will possibly literally melt later today.
I can't. So I think you're good.
Good. Yeah, I've turned it down. I read a lot on my channel, mostly romance, but also this year I've sort of gone back and started diving into other genres and genre spaces. And I also have a small number of sort of authors who I'm mutuals with, and I do enjoy sort of seeing their content and seeing what they are willing to put out and share beyond just the content of their books, which I think makes it more interesting and more engaging. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can have an account that's literally just about your books, but it's definitely going to have a smaller reach. Like it's I feel like for that, you're either only appealing to other authors who want to know about your writing process,
Mm.
or people who are already your readers and want to know what you're working on and what's coming down the pipeline, right? You're not really
Yeah.
going to grow anything for your readership if that is your media presence.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it either. Especially if you're not, like,
Yeah, I
doing a
think it's
lot
a
of
lot.
filler, you know?
Mm.
If I can follow you and that will guarantee that I will know about all of your releases and I won't get, like, a lot of just completely unrelated, "Here's my coffee, here's my dog,"
Yeah.
content, which, some people do like that, so it's not like a criticism if they do that, but I really
No, not
do
at all.
not mind. If I'm just there to find out your next book, if that's all you're posting, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And
Alright.
Heather, everyone's here for you. It's
Do
okay.
anything for me. Hello.
Hello.
Well, that's good because that's who you've got. You've got me and Steph, so thank you. That is so sweet and lovely. Elysees, you guys are so nice to me, but I was here for Ashley and Brie and stuff, so I'm only here for one person right now. Yes, that
Mm.
was the one real benefit. I was watching lives probably a couple of times a week at least. There was always people I liked watching talking about things I liked hearing
Yeah.
about, because I've never been super into just reading sprints. Obviously, the people who are very consistent with watching them and stuff, but I find that I read a lot less on a sprint than I do if I just don't have them on the screen. So,
I get distracted by the timers.
yeah.
Like I'm
Or
paranoid how
or
much
it's
time
like
is left.
I'm not reading and I'm trying to watch them, but then now I have 40 minutes of silence
Yeah.
because they're doing their sprint, so then I, like, wander off and do something else, you know?
Well, I suppose the other thing is depending on when the sprints are
Mhm.
held. Like I don't mind them, but I miss most of them live. So there's no point watching those back.
Did I make Robin an admin for my channel? How
You
did I
must
do
have.
that? I thought I still didn't have anybody. I was literally thinking about this the other day, like, one of these days I really have to figure that out. Maybe I already did.
Robin, your designated admin. Welcome.
I do not remember that. Yeah, that makes sense, Vina. Look at
Yeah.
you. Look at you, the chosen one. Alright. Well, we will get started a little bit on our topic just to, not drag you in the chat through my motherings and ramblings. I can keep on going. So the
That
first
or
thing
we'll
I
just get off
wanted
topic.
to just kind of start on a light note with, I guess, is title words that you want less or more of. So I think the one that immediately comes to mind is court. A court of blank and blank can die a slow death as far as I'm concerned.
Any anything that is of noun the noun or verb can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
disappear.
Well, my other one was song. Like, I don't know why that, like, really bothers me. I'm just like, "What do you mean it's a song of blank of blank? What does that mean?
Blood's in everything.
Blood and ashes? Oh my god. I cannot keep all the blood and ashes titles straight. I know so many of them, and they're all different books and different authors. And I don't know who they are or what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kingdom is
Yeah,
a good
that's
one too.
another one.
I think some of it too is like the,
The
Harlequin
combos.
type titles where it's like the broken orcs mail order pregnant bride, and it tells you like everything that's gonna happen in that book. I don't really mind that so much because sometimes I'm like, I just wanna know what this is. Tell me what this is. When
Yeah.
the title
At
does its
least
thing.
at least those titles you know what you're getting into. Whereas if you
Right,
get a court of or kingdom or what
right.
you're like, what is
It's
this
just the
even going to
most
be about?
generic fantasy/, dystopian / historical. I mean, honestly,
Like,
it's not even really genre defining for a lot of
how
them.
many buzzwords? Yeah, how many buzzwords can we put in a title that can make it an acronym? And I find that's what happens is people do it so that you have
Yes.
an acronym. And what do we need an acronym for? Just the title of the book.
And when you have an acronym, literally only the people who already know what you're talking about understand what you're saying. Like, I get it. I say Activism and stuff because it's just like you don't want to say a core Mist and Fury every time you're typing something. But like not everyone knows what that is. And that is by far the I feel like most, obvious one, the one that people recognize the most.
Yeah.
Yes. The last time I will see you again. Yes. And it gives nothing. Like it just doesn't tell you jack. Like is it sad? Is it sweet? Is it a generational? Is it a second chance? Is it literally dying? Like we don't see somebody dies? What does this book do? What does it mean? Oh man. I wonder if Bree fell asleep. I'm like really really worried about her. Like, where are you, Bree? She's so funny. Well, she and I have been talking about this live for like, I don't know, at least 3 weeks or something like that. So like I know she was like planning on being here. So I'm just like, what happened?
I'll message her while you're leading discussion.
I mean, I sent her one, but maybe we can buzz her phone enough.
Well, I'll just go to send it to the group chat. Do you know the one that or titles that I don't mind punny titles that play with puns because it just I like wordplay.
Right.
To me, that's
fun.
The
thing. If you're giving me a clever title, I feel like that's very different from a generic title, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are really clever. Like your job is to write with words, so
yeah. Have fun with it.
It makes sense. Yes. Yes, you are so correct with this, Vina. What do you mean the 70% mark is where I'm finding out something that was in the title?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is so 101, and yet it comes back around and around and around because people just can't seem to understand. And I know that there are always new people in the community, right? You always have new reviewers. So you have new people who don't realize that like a 3-star review is maybe not something you should be tagging an author in, right? Like legitimately, you come in, you have all these unwritten rules. That doesn't mean that you know them. Like I remember joining that community and starting Bookstagram and like genuinely having no idea if I was supposed to tag authors in like a 4-star review because it's the picture and they can share, that someone read their book because how they like share it in their stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And like it's good to be like, hey, other people are reading this book. Have you read this book yet?
Yeah. Well, see, I had an interesting. Hello.
You've lost
I
me.
We can't find where she is.
She's just
I had a really interesting interaction with an author. I actually had to, and this is through a publisher that I work with. So I actually contacted them and just said, hey, look, do you want me to how do you want me to actually respond to this? Because they're like, oh, the author's like, you need to tag this person, this person. I'm like, that's not my policy. Like, I don't tag anyone. No one gets tagged. If I get a book from a publisher, I tag the publisher. That's their business if they want to share it. And I thought it was really interesting because I can tell you're new in this space because it's like I'm not tagging you for a reason.
Right. Yeah. Also, when it does come to publishers and stuff, you have new employees all the time. You probably have some random intern that's been there for a month trying to, communicate with reviewers and stuff. And that's not always going to be the best policy either.
No. It's like my policies just don't tag anyone.
Yeah. Ashley, you can introduce yourself if you are ready to. And we were talking about what words we are tired of in titles or want more of. So that's where we're at. And then we were just playing off the chat.
I couldn't unmute myself for a second. Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. What words have y'all already said? Because I feel like I have the
Court.
Yeah.
Kingdom.
Anything a blank of blank of blank. Like I can't
Yes.
do that anymore.
We did that and song and kingdom.
Ugh.
And anything that can be made into an acronym, anything that's too
Right.
long.
No, literally the acronyms.
Yeah.
They've lost me.
And we also said just extremely long titles
Mm.
that say
Mhm.
nothing specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That could be 7 genres or 300 bucks. And like, what do you mean? Yeah, that's what we were talking about. But
Okay.
I'm sure most people know you, but why don't you just tell the ones that don't?
I run a channel called Bookish Realm. I'm the same on TikTok, Goodreads, Instagram, the whole shebang. I'm on a pause right now, but I may be back next week.
Maybe.
If I'm enjoying my time away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It's whatever you want to do.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say.
We weren't going
Can't
to
forget that one.
let that go on by.
I definitely was going to let that slide under the radar.
I don't know. You were saying things about maybe only posting on Realm of Comics, so I feel like people need to know.
No, yeah, I did say that.
We shall see what happens with it, but I'm trying to scroll back up because I don't know where I was.
Yeah, war's another one that's been thrown in the chat.
Yeah.
Empire.
That does. Yeah.
Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. We're gonna get to some of that. Hey, Jessica. I mean, Jessica and I, what was it, Jessica? You're trying to turn off the voice in your head when you're reading to read faster, right? That's
sub-vocalization.
Yeah. We're not very good at it, me and Jessica.
I'm not either.
No.
We are kind of, but no one specifically. Yeah.
Just generalized at the moment.
Yes. And also on this, when authors have a series where each title is very similar, or it's like
Chloe Lease.
Titles, it's really hard to remember the order of the words, or it's like very easy to insert title for book 2 when you're talking about book 1.
Yeah.
Like my memory is not that good. I need you guys to take it easy on me. I can't do it. I mess it up.
Yeah, Chloe Lease is my nemesis with those.
Oh, that is messy, Vina.
Oh.
Why would they DM you over a Goodreads review?
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
My question is, do they not have better things to do with their time?
Clearly not.
Clearly not.
Because you could be promoting more people, or doing promotion to get more people to read your book instead of focusing on harassing a reviewer for their opinion about said book. Right. That's wild to me.
But what they don't even realize is that sometimes it's those reviews that they don't necessarily agree with that hook someone else into their book.
Exactly.
So you can't get mad at something because what someone else doesn't like, someone else will probably enjoy. So
I feel like someone's yuck could definitely be someone else's yum.
Yeah.
And so pointing that out might be like a buzz thing for some people, like, oh, that's exactly what I like in my books.
Yeah.
Tama at Shades and Pages was just like quote tweeting someone today about, because they were like, I think a DNF is fine if you're respectful and everything. Or talking about a DNF is fine if you're respectful. And it's like, talking about a DNF is just as valid as any other review. It's just as useful. It's just as entertaining. You don't want people reading your book and getting to the second half and finding out that there was a bunch of stuff that they absolutely hated that someone could have spared them from if they had just said anything.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest. I know it's probably more of an issue in genres outside of romance, right? But my biggest issue when people really disliked a book and they won't tell you because of spoiler reasons. I'm like, well, the reason why you dislike the book is the thing I really need to know if that's going to bother me or not. Like, I want to know what ruined this for you. And if it's something that doesn't bother me at all or something I actively avoid.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's where I think some of those generic titles also don't help with that, because you don't get any sense of what you're getting into.
No, you really don't. Jessica's the best.
She is.
Okay, yes. Actually, this can bother me a little bit too. It's just the memory stuff, honestly, for me. It's difficult for me to no. And I don't know. I think as a reviewer too, when I like go to look up the series name so I can include it, and it was just the name of the title, I'm like, well, I didn't need to waste all this time.
This is true. I have limited capacity in my brain. It needs to be straightforward so I can follow it.
That's wild. I like don't give authors second chances, really.
You don't.
Like, I don't know.
But you know, no one's entitled to a second chance if you don't like one book. You don't have to give anyone a second chance if you don't want to.
It's like the thing with like, you have to be respectful if you talk about your DNFs or whatever. It's so weird how people put books on a pedestal. Like, it's so much higher above all of the other entertainment that we consume. Like, it's sacred. And it's not. It's just a book. It's not any more special. I mean, as someone who has literally read their entire life and loves reading more than any other hobby by far, it's still just a book. If you didn't like it, it's not the end of the world.
It is for some people, which is wild.
It is.
Perspective is a wonderful thing.
My eyeballs about to pop out of my head.
1-star reviews. With allergies and sinus?
Yes, like it just started itching out of nowhere and now it's watering. And I'm like, wait, what's happening?
Because you're allergic to where you live.
Oh my gosh.
You lowered it down. The fact you lowered it to a 3.
I would have dropped it lower than that too.
Me too, honestly.
A 4-star review. That's like what's who was the author that went off about?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, like completely lost it.
Warned somebody.
Yes, and then was like, I was high. I said, wow.
It did the opposite of what I was supposed to do. Yes. Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. False advertising or blind advertising, or you just have to go through my book and experience it, doesn't help you. I don't understand why anyone tries to do it that way, because you want the readers who like the thing that you're writing. You don't want to accidentally trick people who dislike that into reading your book. They're not going to enjoy it.
I got tricked.
For what?
That romance book that had incest at the very end. And there was no content warning for it. And then she commented under my Goodreads review and was like, there's no incest in this book. That's why it's called taboo. Boy, I had never gone back to Kindle Unlimited so quick to screenshot something and throw it on Goodreads. I mean, throw it on Twitter. Because I said, there's no way that you are going to get under my review and tell me that it's not incest when you wrote it in ink right here.
Right. That was wild. And really, authors in taboo and dark romance, probably horror too, but I don't really follow them. I'm not really in that space. They really want to use that as a band-aid for everything. Well, it's taboo. It's like, well, that doesn't fix everything, and it doesn't mean that you don't need to have a care.
Exactly.
And content warning things isn't spoiling them.
It's not.
Right. And I wish, speaking of, I wish authors did that so much more. I appreciate it so much if you have content warnings at the front of your book. It's easy for people to skip if they don't want them. And also, I really appreciate content warnings that are like X explicitly on page, X mentioned historically, or X is like theme of the story. So you really know, like, for your tolerance level, how much you're getting that thing.
And like the thing with that is you're not necessarily always going to be able to catch everything that's going to be a trigger or a content warning for everyone. And that's okay. But if you make the effort to go, okay, I know that this is a big thing in the book and it's probably going to be a sensitive topic for people, it makes all of the difference, because then if something else comes up as a reader, I feel I'm less likely to react negatively to the fact that I wasn't aware of it, because I know that they've made an effort for other things in their book. But
That.
Yeah. I feel like if you can't do a content warning, there's no way you're qualified for what you just wrote about. Yes. Right.
That's her.
That was huge. That was
a time. That was a time, man. I just couldn't believe that was like I was blown. I was blown away because I was like, wait, we're used to seeing like authors get into a tizzy over like 3 2-star, 1-star DNF, but like 4.5.
4.5.
That's wild.
On an arc. That was something.
That was a time.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Please just take responsibility for your actions.
Just apologize, fix it, stop doing it, grow from it. It's not that hard, honestly. Okay, see, I am torn on this one. I like some of the things that authors use to promote their books with like the little arrow things. But if you're going to do that, that thing better actually be in the book and not hinted at. There's this one, it was like, it had primal play in it, which is like chasing, right? Before you have sex. And I was like, okay, great. I'm in it. No. She took like 4 steps down the hallway. That was what happened. I was like, what? What?
Great chase. Good job.
What are you even talking about right now? This is not primal play. And the author had used it to market her book. And I was like, this is bad. Okay, and you know what? Actually, the author is mutuals with me on Twitter. I followed her for quite a while because of a random tweet that she was like, this describes my books. And I was like, well, that's what I like to read. So, hello. And I loved the book. And then it's the epilogue, and it's a year later that they haven't spoken to each other, and they still have never gotten together at all at the end of the whole book. Because they were fake dating, so they never. And the thing that really truly annoyed me, besides it being a whole year, because I think that's ridiculous, is they were both in their 30s, and I was like, "What do you mean you broke up for a year simply because you couldn't tell the other one that you cared about them or wanted to talk to them? Like, I'm not coming back."
Yeah,
too much.
If it takes you a year to figure that out, yeah, no thanks.
Oh my word. Yes. If that.
They really put the effort in, Heather.
Oh, man. Yes. And I was just like, what do you mean? It's the literal last page of the book, and I'm supposed to believe that these two can hold it together. They haven't even been together yet. That was wild. Okay. Moving right along. I fear we are never going to have Brie, which I feel really bad about because, like I said, I know like she wanted to do this, so we shall see. What do you want for marketing? Obviously, I want accurate marketing. I want you to tell me what your book was or what it actually contains. What do you want from authors for marketing their books?
They don't choose their comps, do they?
I assume no, unless obviously they're indie authors, which some of those are very questionable in my book.
Because the comps don't always be comping.
They're not.
No.
At all.
I feel like most of the time it's literally just most popular title in same genre.
Exactly. And I have a problem with that. And
Me too.
it misleads. I feel like it misleads readers into expecting something that they're not going to necessarily get out of the book.
Yeah.
Oh, Venus says they do.
Oh, okay.
That's even
I
worse.
I didn't know
think
if it was their own comps or not, or if that was a publisher.
I can
Well, I
tell
think
you.
sometimes if you,
Go ahead, Steph.
I think sometimes if you're pitching, you can do comps, but they might switch it. Publishers might change it afterwards, depending. But I think if they're pitching it, they can do their comps. It's like if there's a competition, it's the Hunger Games.
Right.
No,
Exactly. Oh gosh, that's mind-boggling to me. Anything that has any type of competition all of a sudden for fans of Hunger Games. No, everything doesn't have to be comped with Hunger Games.
A little bit. Plus, I feel like if the only thing you liked in the Hunger Games was the competition, you don't really like the Hunger Games.
At all.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always their strong suit. Obviously, their strong suit is writing a story.
That too, Jess. That's a good one.
Yeah.
If you like Get Out, yep.
I have never read a book because of the comps, because I just don't believe them. I am so frustrated by AI covers. I fear that we are never going to not have them. And I think it's going to become more and more acceptable. And I think that's wrong. So, but I feel like it's only going to get worse.
Jess, didn't you just talk about, or was it, who talked about it? Was it Jess or was it Izzy who talked about the Gothicana cover?
That was Izzy.
That was Izzy?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. I actually had the book, processing it, library. I didn't even notice. I didn't take a close look at the cover. And then when Izzy pointed it out, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
Yeah,
the
I've
details
heard
of
it's
it are
much
horrible.
worse in person. Like when you actually had the physical cover, I've heard it's much worse. It's always SJM. SJM and what's the Jennifer? I want to say Jennifer Lawrence. That's not true.
JLA. Yeah.
Yeah, JLA. Jennifer Armentrout. Oh my word. Yes. Yep. It literally is just.
It means the characters are Black.
It's just.
That's sad.
It really is.
Yeah. See, actually, there's been a couple that I've really liked that I didn't realize were AI because I'm not good at that. Like some of them are pretty. That's not even that. Like that's not the issue so much. Some of them are bad, obviously, but the issue is the ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when someone tells me.
Yeah, the Gothicana
I'm not good at picking them.
It's hard to see the Gothicana one from like if you're just looking at the book just for face value. When you start really looking at the detailing of the work on Gothicana, that's when you can tell that it's AI. But if you're just looking at like first glance, you would not be able to tell that that was an AI cover.
Yeah. I saw what's her name? Steph, you know who I'm talking about, the author of Not My Type, Evie Mitchell.
Oh, Evie Mitchell.
She talked about this a long time ago when AI audio was first being talked about as a possibility, that for a lot of disabled readers and obviously poor indie authors, it kind of, you can have that level of accessibility, but you have ethics too. And if the whole entire program ignores ethics, then you can't ethically use it, even though it would be possibly a great tool not to take work away from audiobook readers, but to give audio possibilities to readers and authors who were never going to be able to do an audiobook in the first place, right? It was completely out of reach just from an accessibility standpoint. But like
she's
no
Evie's actually one of those authors that I think is quite aware of what's going on in sort of the book industry. I mean, she's indie published, but I think she does some really interesting things in the space around making sure that, one, she's utilizing artists and narrators and everyone who works or who identify, particularly historical audio narrators. She always makes sure that they identify in some capacity with the characters in her books, or are able to represent something authentically, even if it takes a longer time to get something published, which I find really useful. And she's also, very much about all the covers, and her illustrated covers are really doing some interesting things, I think.
Yeah.
And now she's also she's trying to get back into people covers, models as well.
Yeah. I like that.
So
yeah. I so far have been able to just not read authors who use AI covers, but again, like, one, I could be without knowing it, because again, I only know the ones people tell me truly. And besides that, it might get to a point where it's just flooded the industry. It's hard not to. Yeah. Some of them are bad. One thing I do want from marketing, or for marketing from authors, is I dislike when authors do the same marketing for their book all of the time. So maybe they have a TikTok that they constantly repost, or a tweet that they constantly schedule, or what have you, a post anywhere. And it's always the same picture, the same excerpt from the book, the same,
audio.
He would burn the world down for her, and I get that ideally that's always in front of new eyes, but very rarely do they have anything that's enough of a hook, enough of a specificity. Yes, that word.
Specificity. Thank you, Steph.
To actually convince me to read the book. And some of them are books that I've already read, that I know that there are much more appealing things about that book that would get my interest, or that I would be telling people, hey, this book has this in it, when I'm talking about it. And they don't. They just have the most random generic thing that they keep constantly pushing. And again, I understand marketing is one tiny part of an author's job. And a lot of times being an author is the second job on top of what you're already doing. So I know not everyone has the skill or the time or any of the things, but I feel like, especially if your books are on ebook, just using people's popular highlights is a really great way to market your book. And it doesn't have to be the same highlight every time.
Yeah. Also, linked to that, they like to do the page flip, but then they never tell you what the book is. Just give me the title of the book, please. That's all I want. Just tell me the title. So I don't have to. I know they want the engagement, and you have to go searching through things. But I'm more likely to like something if I can find what it is straight away without having to go searching for it.
Right.
And that will give you engagement. It'll bring it up straight away.
Right. Yeah. For me, if you want me to read that book, you cannot annoy me in the part where you're trying to get me to know about the book.
Yeah.
I do love illustrated romance covers. I would like a little more variety in the style of illustrated covers. Like, you have a lot of room there that's not being used. They don't all have to be the same.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are a lot of different art styles are really, really beautiful. And again, I would like to see more variety with it.
Yeah, agreed. And this too.
Yes, for sure.
I'm more likely to pick it up if it's cover models.
Yeah. I think that some of that is just accurate. People have a lot of bias.
I think this is like, it's because most of the illustrated covers all look the same. All the people don't have faces.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's true of authors and content creators sometimes. You cannot try and get people to consume your product by how hard it was for you to make it or how long it took you to make it. Even the ones that care don't really care. You have to market that product as something that they want, not something that they need to get to help you because of how much it took out of you. I don't know who this is, but I'm 100% sure I'd recognize.
Yeah, you would recognize all the covers.
Yeah, I like this too, Vina.
Yeah.
So what do you want from authors for behind the scenes or call outs? Because I know of many. I know many authors in the same space, whether that is subgenre or genre or even like marginalized identity. So they're lumped together on law of lists and things like that. I know quite a few of them that they know. They have behind the scenes receipts on why that person is not a good person or, you know, really problematic or racist or what have you. And they don't really say anything. And I think that some of that is because people are trying to preserve their own career, right? Obviously. But then you have the whole Kay Crane thing. Like, that happened because authors called her out. I mean, it came to light because authors called her out. So if they never said anything and it was just, you know, murmurs behind the scenes and in group chats and amongst other authors, you know, she would still have a thriving career. Like, she had a good a good setup that she blew. So part of it is just I just want to know. I want to know who you hate and why you hate them and what we're talking about. But some of it too is like, well, I don't want to read that author if you know for a fact that they are not a good person because of what they're talking about in author groups.
Yeah, I think so. And it's one of those things where in a perfect world, I think if someone has learning to do in a space, if they get called out on it, they do need to address it, but I would like them to take the time to actually think about what it is that they're going to say rather than the knee-jerk reaction, which tends to then explode into everything that we see because people don't actually stop and think about what's being said and why it's being pointed out.
Right.
And then they sort of double down on their opinion and then they have to backtrack 2 or 3 days later. And I think that's the trouble with a social media space where we're so connected in that people are not given time to actually learn something and think about a measured response, which is really tough. But at the same point, I want to know if someone's being absolutely shitty because I don't want to read them.
Right. What you got, Ashley?
I was like, are you waiting on me? What Ray had said, I think, is one of the things that I take issue with is that if you're going to bring the conflict to social media, then bring it 100%.
Right.
Don't go passive aggressive and, oh, I want to respect this and I want to respect, like, if you're going to bring it out to the open, then bring it out to the open completely,
Right.
because I think it's kind of, it makes it tough on people who are like, okay, like you said, Steph, if this person's not a good person, like, then I don't want to be putting money into their pockets.
Mhm.
It sucks to have to hunt through, and I don't typically do it anymore, but I mean, to hunt through all of social media to try to figure out like who you're talking about, especially if it's something that they've done that's been pretty egregious, like don't
Right.
like and I get
Awesome.
that I'm sure there's a lot of decision making and weighing that goes into that, but if that's something that you want to continue to handle behind doors, and handle it behind doors, don't bring it to the public, because of, naturally, what this world is now with social media, people are going to want to know and they're going to ask you.
Right.
I don't really want to say anything, then you shouldn't have brought it to social media in the first
Right.
place. Like, don't, like, that defeats the purpose of the whole situation. But I
It's one
think,
thing to
I think some things are for closed doors that needs to be sorted out amongst them, because they have their own little circles, just from what I've seen interacting with authors, not in a social media light, but just even in person.
Right.
They have their own little things that happen in the background, which I think that's stuff that they keep in house, which should.
Mhm.
Everything that happens doesn't need to be out in the open. But when it comes to major things, like when I think about Kate Coran and what they did, like, that needed to come
Yeah.
to the forefront. I don't think that was something that ever could have been or should have been handled behind bars. Behind bars, because that's where I'm thinking where she should be right now.
Exactly.
behind closed doors, because that was, I mean, that was pretty wild of a situation. But
Mhm.
petty gossip that I've heard about, the clickiness that I've heard about, and the
Mhm.
who deals with who and who's really stuck up and who can really, like, that, we don't need to know about that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right. Yeah, not all offenses are created equal.
Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why the first thing I said was behind bars.
Yeah.
Because it's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
And
the way that she's handled everything clearly indicates that she's truly either incapable of or not ready to admit that it was
she's done
her
something.
and her fault and
Yeah.
no one made her do it, and it's just a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's interesting things going on there. I do think that sometimes, especially, I know some of you guys said in the chat about like being afraid of fan bases and things like that, especially when you have a bigger author. But I think that the indie romance author space can be pretty toxic in that you have so many people. Of course, not all of them are good.
Yeah.
And so I think you know about some really, again, like problematic stuff that authors or that readers are not going to want to be reading from someone that they know has those beliefs, and it's just kind of kept hush hush, which I don't love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some of it is just for the group chats. That's the truth. You don't need to bring readers into it. Yeah, that's true too. How do you feel about authors with their social media presence? Do they need to be doing activism work? Do they need to be using their platform? Is it one thing if they are only posting about their books on their social media? Another thing if they're posting everything under the sun except for this really important issue that's going on, like the genocide in Gaza and things like that. But they are quick to talk about, I don't know, reviewers being mean. I don't know.
I think it's pretty telling if they'll post about everything and then ignore something else. I think it's pretty telling.
I think it's okay if you as an author just don't want to have a social media presence. That's not what you're here for. And if something's posted, it's this book is out, your account is run by your assistant. It's like not even a thing that you do at all, right? You're not interacting, you're not doing anything. I think that's fine. You don't have to be active on social media. But if you are active on social media, I mean, I just want to know. I just want to know. And I feel like the thing, I guess my issue with this always is, and I know some of it is virtue signaling. I know some of it is fake. Some of it is people saying things that they don't really believe, just because they feel like it's the accepted thing to say. But I do feel like a lot of times, if you actually believe the thing, you really don't have a problem talking about it, you know? So if you're protesting so much that you shouldn't have to say that you believe the thing, that always kind of indicates to me that you probably don't really believe it all that much. Maybe that's not fair, but that's just my assumption.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of the chats. I find social media so bizarre. I find it a really weird space, and I think we do, like, for as long as we've had it, I still don't think we've had it long enough to understand how to use it properly.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever will, because it'll keep evolving, and the medium and the format and the way people interact on it will constantly change. And I think it can bring out the best in people, and I think it can bring out the worst in people.
Yeah.
So, and look, to this end, I don't follow that many authors. I follow some authors, but I don't follow that many. I don't follow enough of them to have their feed, with the exception of maybe one or two who I'm friends with, to see their content regularly.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I'm more interested in what the people that I interact with on a daily basis are saying. And we tend to align fairly closely.
Right.
I think some authors need publicists because at this point, and it's not even just the stuff that's happening now, just even moments like, I always go back to like S.E. Hinton saying that graphic novels aren't, nobody was checking for you. Like, nobody remembers anything that you've ever written except the outsiders. And who told you to get your behind on the internet and say that graphic novels aren't real reading? Like, so, I mean, for me, it's one of those things where I think that some authors do need somebody there to kind of guide. Their media presence. Because believe it or not, I mean, you are building your brand. And you can make or break a lot of things playing around with social media nowadays.
Yeah.
And some people just post things and I'm kind of like, is there like nobody? And I know that, I mean, especially, you're publishing for the first time, and the likelihood of you having a publicist is not going to be a real thing. I understand that. But sometimes I just question, like, who sat beside you and read this and said, go for it?
Right.
It's absolutely, it's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
They almost need, I mean, someone's made a comment about too many social media managers, but it's almost like a case of, if you have a social media manager but not a publicist, you really need someone who is almost the opposite of you to be able to take what you say and go, okay, let's think about this from multiple perspectives, not just because we're promoting your brand. Like, what are the actual implications of what you put out online?
You want somebody who isn't just like, oh, that's a great idea. You want somebody who's like, how can this be taken the wrong way? Like, that's their job.
That is their job. And to keep things consistent. Like, even our library has a social media team to make sure that everything is like, even the tone, the way things are presented, it doesn't sound like there's multiple people who are pushing this work and making sure everything follows with policies. And I don't know, it just seems interesting that that's not a thing.
There's this one indie author that I was following, and I stopped following, and I stopped reading their books, which wasn't a great hardship, to be honest. But I knew too much about their sex life. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want to know. I was not looking to know, and I felt like I felt a lot of secondhand embarrassment. I felt very awkward knowing as much as I did when I didn't ask for that. I know your books have sex in them, and obviously it's fine for you to have sex too, but I just don't understand why we're posting all the time. Okay, yes, it was Sophie Lark, and it came out so bad.
I was gonna ask you.
I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm all done here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But she has a huge following. So
She does.
It does work for plenty of people. Yeah. There's a lot of authors I won't read because of their online presence.
Yeah. This was the other thing I was going to say. At least have a support group around you who can be critical friends, not just best friends, who can be critical friends.
Yes, friends.
I feel like content creators do this too. Like, hey, can you check this out? Can you let me know what you think?
No, it doesn't happen.
Not as much as it should. That's for sure.
Poor Heather's got that message from me a couple of times. Like, can you just check this?
Yeah. Calling a reviewer broke. That's wild. There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably not until we're saying it every second that reviewer spaces are not author spaces. They still won't even get that message.
Yeah, it was a romance author, but I was weirded out. Right. I don't need to know all the things. And the other thing is too, like, it doesn't bother me as much if it's like a one-off or something, but if it's like every other post, I'm just like, this is a lot. This is a lot.
I don't need to know the ins and outs of everyone's personal lives.
Well, and I feel like too, Jess, you're often dealing with controversial issues, so it's helpful. Yeah, a lot of them don't have friends. A lot of them have frenemies or people who are friendly but are kind of rooting for their downfall in the hopes that they will overtake their number one spot, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
And look, some people are chronic oversharers, but time and space.
All right, so Bree just messaged me and she thought this live was tomorrow. So
wait, how?
Didn't she talk about it yesterday?
So many times. But you know, memory is just not there sometimes. That's nobody's fault. I love her. We'll see if she shows up. What are tropes that you either would really like authors to steer away from or you would really like to see more of? They're underutilized.
Oh, I would like the helpless female character to go away.
The what?
The helpless female character.
I don't mind if you don't know what you're doing or if you don't have strength or skills, but like have something.
I know. That's what I mean. Like completely helpless. I don't need that anymore.
Right.
Someone who needs help, different situation. Who can recognize what they can do and what they need support with, totally fine.
Right. And if you don't know what you're doing, please, for the love of God, listen to the person who does. Like, at least follow directions and stay in the house or something. Don't go wandering out looking for the killer. You don't.
But where's the story in that, Heather?
What? What'd you say?
So
Steph?
where's the story in that?
Story is they stay alive.
Listen, no, move your hand, man, because how in the hell?
Marie.
I was finna text you too, and I was like,
Winnie, they can hear you laughing.
oh, so you was out with Winnie.
You were having fun. Huh?
Winnie.
Internet, don't listen to her.
Winnie.
Oh, it's definitely Bree's fault. We know.
I'm not putting her on blast like that, but it wasn't me.
Oh, so Bree, it was your fault.
Listen, I thought we were meeting on the 10th. I thought there was a meeting on the 10th bedroom, not this one.
But didn't you share the post?
Yeah.
So
It always said the 9th, my dear darling Bree.
and you shared the post that said the 9th and had the hour countdown.
I do. I will.
To be fair, if
oh wait, what'd you say? Oh, I was gonna say she did tell our nephew she couldn't go to his game because she was gonna be here, so she really did think it was tomorrow.
Well, now you can go to the game.
Dang.
Or you can just never tell him, depending on what you want to do.
Oh my God. I'm about to text my lash girl and ask her if we can do our lash early in the morning so I can make it to his game. Oh my God.
So your lash
the lash appointment was at 12.
It was tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
That's what you meant?
Oh my word.
I thought it was at 12 today.
I love this.
In your defense, Bree, it is the 10th where I am. So I don't know if that's ever come up.
Steph is on the 10th.
She cares about me. She does. I thought, are you coming? I'm like, coming where?
I was just like hanging out a little bit, and I was like, all right, well, maybe she'll come. I don't know. It doesn't matter, Bree. We love you.
Anyway, I'm here to answer any of the questions that you all already answered.
All right, Bree. I have questions for you. Okay. What title words do you want more or less of from authors?
How to.
What?
How to kill a person. A guide for this. I don't give a shit. Just put Sally died. Frederick fell off the building.
I can't do this right now. Can't do this right now.
I'm just saying, they just be doing too much. Or the titles that are so long, we have to watch a paint of can to dry. It'd be like fire that set at noon on a Tuesday night with Jimmy, but he got shot. And I'm like, no, we just gonna call the book Jimmy now because we have time for that.
Yes.
That's my thought.
You are correct.
We're all in agreement.
Yes, we don't like the long titles.
They're so long. I'm sorry, y'all. People said hi to you when they in the chat.
Yes. And also Ray won.
When he said, not blame for this. They did.
And then what do you want to see from authors for marketing their books? Either, you want them to stop doing it or you want them to do it so you'll actually pick up their book.
I need... No, that's not what I'm saying. I need authors to show up when it's time for them to show up and to step back when it's time for them to step back. I feel like there is some spaces where I feel like it's for readers, but I feel like readers also need to understand if you put it publicly, people have the right to respond to you as well. So I just feel like we just got to figure out a good medium for authors and readers to coexist. I don't know if that's possible
Yeah.
because stuff is getting wild. And,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we have channels that dedicate to talk about that discord, so it doesn't like Rachel reads. I feel like every 2 days she's telling us about an author she hates or who hate her,
Yeah.
and I just feel like it's always in our face. So
Right.
we need to figure out a balance.
Yeah.
What that looks like, though.
Right. Some of it's particularly difficult because negative videos get views, right?
They definitely do.
So if you're trying to make any money, you're gonna be negative. That's just
Yeah,
that's the fact.
that is how the ball is rolled,
Yeah. But
unfortunately.
then also, I feel like sometimes I agree, Bree, that sometimes it can be like a reader can just be going after an author like a weird amount, and the author is just expected to never respond in any way because that's reader spaces.
Yeah,
The reader has really crossed a lot of lines and is no longer just doing a review,
yeah,
right? They
right,
are actively trying to go after this author, and if
yeah,
the author does respond, it's seen as them crossing the line.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't always agree what I'm about to say, but I feel like it warrants some truth in some spaces where authors and readers exist, which is don't start no shit, won't be no shit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
piss
I
in
agree.
somebody's coffee and tell them that there's no piss in it.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that can be hard because there are some authors who are out of pocket,
Mhm.
just completely out of pocket.
Mhm.
But there are also readers that are out of pocket, and I feel like people in the book community, we're we're being kind of not, I don't know if groom is the right word, but we're being kind of inundated with the messages of like the readers are right, like the customer is always right. Kind of
Mhm.
like we're being inundated with those messages and not realizing that authors are human beings too, and they have a right to feel some type of way because you said some harsh shit about what they wrote. And
Right.
we don't know what those words mean to them. We don't know what that debut or that novel meant to them. So they could take offense to what you're saying, just like you can take offense to what they're saying. I just feel like we aren't being as critical as we should be, and we're not
Mm.
um, thinking of the whole picture.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not to also say there aren't some shitty readers and
Right. Being an author or being a reader doesn't make you smart or kind or nice or any of the things. It just doesn't mean anything. So all types of people fit into those categories, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Some of the people in any and all of the categories are going to be doing ridiculous things that need to be addressed.
And there's like this book elite entitlement that goes on in the book community of being like,
Mm.
I read your book, I spent money on your book, and
Mhm.
therefore I can say, like, it's just like, what is that even about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No, you're right. I think a lot of people have a weird sense of entitlement when it comes to either when the next book is going to be out or what then authors should respond to them with, or that the author should take their feedback seriously. Um, and I don't know, like you're not entitled to the author in the same way that we were kind of talking about whether you want from an author's social media presence, because if you are active on social media, a lot of times we expect you to uh acknowledge
Engage.
things like genocide and other, things that are currently happening that people are talking about. And I think that that's fair. But if someone's not active at all on their social media, right? They are not there. They are not interacting. They are only having a scheduled book post or something. And I don't think that you can ask them for more than that account is meant for, because they're not active on it, they're not interacting with it, they're not using it for anything. So you have to assume that if they are on social media, they are active on a different account probably, right?
Yeah.
But I was also saying, Bree, that I think a lot of times, if you believe in a thing, you don't have a problem saying that you believe in the thing, you know? So
You're saying me in general or just anybody?
people in
And
general.
people in general.
If
Okay.
you're not willing to say that genocide is bad, then you probably don't believe that genocide is bad. If you do believe that genocide is bad, you don't really have a problem saying it out loud,
Yeah.
you know, into your following, if you will.
Not to throw a wrench, but
Go ahead.
follow when my wrench is being thrown. I feel like in the book community, there is a lot of there's a lot of colorism.
Mhm.
There's a
Mm.
lot of upholding of like what it is and is not to be a reader. And there's a lot of excuses being given to a lot of content creators who write books, I mean, who review books. And I feel like that criticism isn't always something that's acceptable for writers. And I'm just saying this, I'm not a writer, but I just feel like when we see our writers writing, not writing about like free Palestine, free Sudan,
Right.
you know, saying these things, you know, saying what they are, when we see them, we be like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't do it. Shame on them, blah, blah, blah. But then there'll be a book content creator who have the same exact following of that writer and have not posted shit.
Right.
Over 7. Not a word, not a peep, not a beep.
Yeah.
No. And then we say nothing. We're like, oh my God, their content is great. And we're just
Mhm.
ready to hang out. Meanwhile, they've not posted anything. They're just giving aesthetics.
Mhm.
Giving cutie, all those things. And I
Yeah.
just feel like it's a double standard in that, because I can see if the difference is this is a big time writer and this is a smaller um a content creator, and I can see someone being like, oh, what about impact, the smaller content creator? But I feel like it doesn't matter what size you are, you should say unequivocally that, like you said, genocide is bad. What is happening in multiple different countries to multiple different brown communities is terrible. Like we
Right.
say that. But I feel like grace is given to booktube creators because of this elite thing we've kind of manifested in this like colorism and all these different type of things. We give passes to that we don't give those same passes to authors. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And I
it does.
also want to ask you guys, because this is something that I always wonder about, and I don't know. I really don't know the answer. Do you think that the online bookish community expects more commentary on world events and, letting us know where you stand in your politics and your take on everything? Do you think that the bookish community expects more of that from content creators and stuff than other online spaces do? I don't really know, because I feel like I'm not really nearly as present in any other space other than the bookish one. But I just wonder, like, if people are going for makeup reviews, are they expecting that person to
Yeah,
let them know where they stand?
they
Or
are.
is it more so us?
Yeah, and I agree with Vina when she said the online community expect Black people to speak on everything. That is true.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is true. But I cannot tell you how many messages I've gotten since we've become more aware of what's going on in Sudan and Congo and Palestine. Cannot tell you how many messages I've gotten from viewers being like, "Hey, you're the only one posting," or "You and 3 other people are posting," or "I don't see anybody else posting." Like, that's sad.
Yeah.
It is sad.
That is sad. And I'm not saying that people gotta post like me. I know
Mhm.
I'm not saying that. But there are content creators, I know them, we all know them, who have not posted one thing, have not said anything, but they are regularly posting, like you're saying, Heather. These are not accounts that, there's
Mhm.
everybody can do social media, right?
Mhm.
Two, everything doesn't always have to be online. People out here doing stuff in real life, you know what I mean? And social media can be very confusing for a lot of people who don't know how to use it. So
Yeah.
if you just have it just to have it because your agent told you to have it as an author or whatever, like you're not going to be checking that stuff. You're not going
Right.
to be looking at that stuff. But if you are still posting regularly and putting stuff online,
Mhm. Yeah.
so
Yeah. And I know what I'm going to choose for myself and my account, right? And also, um, I don't know. I don't know that I hold everyone to the exact same standard, right? I'm not sure that I hold my sticker shop account the same standard as I do a fellow booktuber and stuff. And I don't know, if I'm correct or wrong on any of those things. But I know what I expect for my own account, and I know, like, kind of if I'm starting to be, like, questioning somebody because it feels like they are purposely avoiding what's going on regardless of what that thing is. Obviously, currently, it
yeah.
is the, genocide in Gaza and Sudan, like you said.
Mhm.
Um,
But I've gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, sticker account, I hold you accountable as well. Like
yeah,
today, I bought some stickers today, and the person had like a button of the flag of Palestine. And I was like, okay, it just made me feel good knowing that
yeah,
I
Yeah.
cannot right now make any changes to the way my government is using my money to fund the
mhm,
genocides around the world.
mhm,
But
Yeah.
the money that I do get from my paycheck, it felt good to give it to someone who's also, and I'm assuming is pro-Palestine in the way I
mhm.
interacted just for a minute. So
Right.
like
Yeah.
we have to be conscious of where we're putting our money, where I don't know. I don't know if I'm making
Yeah,
sense, but I
No,
just
no,
feel
that
like
makes sense.
we have to be aware of those things. So it's like sticker account, my T account, I hold accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
Yeah.
any account, because the thing is, we're all connected. Everything is
mhm,
connected. There is a human being who is running that account, and humanity is being lost right now. People aren't thinking about that human beings are being killed,
yeah,
Yeah.
murdered. So, I hold all those things to an account because stand on business mean we all stand on business.
right.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think that I've witnessed this myself, just, in online spaces.
Yeah. Not just in America.
Right. Yeah, I think that, there's a lot more grace and, I'm gonna not be able to pronounce this word either, I don't think, um, infantilization of a lot of white people where, like, they don't really expect better from them, but if you're not white, they absolutely do. They absolutely
Yeah.
do expect you to be better and know and talk about it and be vocal and all of that. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I do think obviously, um, we constantly have discourse about is reading political or not, and, it
Mm,
just yeah, if you're a reader, you are kind of expected to know more, regardless of your genre or what books it is that you're reading. People just have that association in mind, right?
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's accurate or not, honestly, for you
Mhm.
as an individual.
Which I always find that statement to be so interesting because about reading is not a political act. And, I'm not engaging in politics when I read at all. That
Mhm.
whole entire idea, which I feel like is becoming more prevalent now in the
Yeah.
book community than 10 years ago. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that some of these conversations that we're having now haven't happened before,
Mhm.
but that line of defense
Mhm.
has cropped up. I've seen it more now in the past couple of years than I've ever seen it in this community.
I think we're on a pendulum swing back, right? You kind of had a little bit of a swing where, especially in 2020, I feel like because of all of the different factors, obviously the BLM protests, but a lot of it being the pandemic and people just being in their houses and online, you had a lot of different factors where it was like people were feeling the need
Connect.
to connect and to let people know that they believe the same things or are a good person, or even just to read diversely. It was like more of an expectation because of the moment that we were in, and now you have like this pendulum swing back where it's like it's fine not to care again.
But
um,
the statement in itself is just strange to me, because I think, and this is just my opinion, I'm not saying it's accurate, but I think when people hear, especially in the United States, considering how heated the political climate has been here, I think when people hear politics, they automatically think Republican and Democrat, and that's what it
yeah.
means to have politics in your books. So if you don't have an author that is defining themselves and swinging either left or right, then there's no politics in your book, which is not true. I mean, a person is writing from what they know, what they've
Mhm.
seen, what they've experienced, what they've smelled, what they've tasted, and everything that we interact with, even in your own household, down to your schools, down to your work environments. That's all politics.
Mhm.
It is a group of people making decisions that are going to affect the whole group. So no matter what you say about an author not standing either way politically, everything we do is political. Therefore, if they're writing from their experiences, their politics are in that book. Whether you can see them overtly or not is a different discussion for a different day. But
Yeah.
to think that by reading, I'm just looking straight at my shelf, Anna and the French Kiss,
Mhm.
because there's no hard definition of what the politics are in that book, that means that if I read that, I'm completely turning my brain off and there's no politics involved. It blows my mind every time I hear that. I would rather people just say, I really don't care. I want to do what I want to do, and I'm letting you know where I stand, and I don't care. And I would, I don't respect that. But I think that instead of trying to come up with every excuse, which to me at this point is just not even a logical excuse, it's not a logical environment, just say where you stand. And if you don't want to show that you care, you have no empathy, you have no humanity, at least I know how you move and I can move accordingly.
Yeah.
I feel like there are content creators who read a lot of magical realism with fantasy involved. And Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong because you know more about book genres than I do, but magical realism is steeped in reality. And for people to be like, I don't want politics ever in my life, I'm reading for escapism. It's always very confusing when I see that they read a lot of magical realism that's also fantasy. Because I'm like, so you do like it. I just get confused on it a little bit, but
I mean, I think people get one, I think some of it's just not caring, right? And using language and catchphrases and words to justify why it's okay that you don't care. And that doesn't make you a bad person. That's what a lot of people want. They want to not be held accountable for anything. They don't want to be held to any sort of standard, and they want you to think well of them, right? And a lot of times you can't have both. You can't pick one. But that's not what they want. They want to feel like a good person who is only doing the things that they want to do. But I also think that sometimes like the words get mishmashed together with what people mean, and this isn't quite exactly what I mean right now. Because I think, for instance, I think all reading is escapism, unless maybe you're talking about some educational reading, right? If you're specifically reading for educational purposes, maybe it's not escapism. But generally speaking, reading is escapism because it's a form of entertainment, it's a form of media. But most of the time when people are saying that they read for escapism, they mean that they don't want to have to engage with it. They don't want to have to do the bare minimum, right? They don't want to have to read diversely, or they don't want to have to call out any issues within that book. It's fine because it's escapism and it's fiction and it's not real. When the other people reading that book are also trying to enjoy their time and are trying to escape, and they are often being actively harmed by that thing because it affects them directly. Whereas you, because truly of your privilege, of your ability, because of your life experiences to not even notice that thing in the first place, you're able to just enjoy the problematic thing, where someone else goes into it and, you know, has a terrible time because no one could be bothered to even notice or call it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing I felt with that Triple K romance
Yeah.
situation where I saw people saying like, you know, well, this is just a book and, you know, it's not real, or this character is reformed. And in my head, I keep thinking, you know, I keep looking at the faces that are making these comments, and it's not a big deal to you, but it would be a big deal for someone like me who lives 20 minutes away from a county where they still have Triple K rallies.
Right.
So that's not your lived reality. That's your escape. But that's something that I know for a fact. I can't be in that town when the sun sets. It's not safe for me to be in that area when the sun sets. And so to see people kind of like brush it off and it's like, oh, it's an escape, it's not that big of a deal. It's so easy to say that something, and even from the author, because it like Bree was saying, like equal footing here on the author's end too. It was just like, what made you even feel comfortable writing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you even want to delve into something like this? And then on the behalf of the reviewers, like, why are y'all standing so strong in something that is so offensive to people who still deal with that to this day?
Yeah.
But it's okay because it's a dark romance and you don't understand what dark romance is. I don't have to understand what dark romance is to know that romanticizing the Triple K is a disgusting act.
Yeah. And it's also like coded language. Like Heather was talking earlier about like words and stuff that are being used. I think it's okay to read for escapism. Sometimes you just want to turn your brain off and just read a cute little romance about these two little blobs hanging out or something. I don't know. I'm making shit up.
Yeah, sometimes you're reading because life is not great. And
you just want to get through it, right? However, I think it's being used now. The phrase "I'm reading for escapism" is also as a coded line to be like, I just don't want to read diversely, or I don't want to read about this and I don't want to know about that. So now every time people hear, like in the book community, every time people hear, oh, I read for escapism, people are triggered now.
It's a red flag. Yeah.
They're like, what? What is that? But I think a lot of times in the book community, we operate in extremes, and that's not reality. Gray. Reality is gray.
I do think that there's a bit of a problem in dark romance where they are constantly trying to out shock value one another. And then also, doing any of the isms is not dark romance and shouldn't be. Why do you want your genre to stand for that? Why do you want to so passionately defend that as part of your subgenre? That to me is the weirdest part, I think.
But it's interesting that the dark romance and extreme horror communities are dealing with very similar issues, isms that they have ingrained within their works, and to use that as, oh, it's just therapeutic for me to get this out. I'm like, yo, but like, what type of sick, twisted stuff are y'all getting off on? Because that's wild to me. It's wild to me.
Also, a lot of people, I think, are getting credit for exploring something where they weren't exploring jack. They were just writing their biases and didn't realize that was included. Didn't realize that was a thing. They weren't providing any sort of commentary on it. They were writing stuff that they believe that is because of their prejudice.
And I want to go ahead and throw this out there because I know Jess just added something to the chat. Having one person from an impacted community, and this is very off topic, but I just want to get it off my chest. Because I stopped following a Black creator because they defended that Tilly Cole situation. I was not finna have it. Because I was like, I'm not finna, I'm not gonna even interact with you no more because ain't no way you're defending this. Just because one person from an impacted community gives you the green light or the green check or says it's fine, I wasn't offended, does not mean that you do in fact get the green check in the past to continue to do what you say. Oh, well, huh?
But don't you know that Black people is one sound, one band?
One band, one sound, child. One band, one sound. Because I
one move you move.
Because I feel like at this point, I see it happen more often in the romance community than anywhere else. There will be that, and I'm shameless to say it, there will be that token Black creator or Black reviewer who agrees with some of the things that the dark romance or just the romance community is doing that has impacted the Black community. And I think some people take that and they run with it and they use it as a way to excuse the author for doing what they've been doing. Yeah. And that there's no way. You cannot. One person does not equate the masses.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know. I think part of it is just whether you're talking about Black authors and readers or any other group of people, right? They are in romance too. Or they're in all the other genres too. So you can't just be like, well, I don't know, in dark romance we're okay with that. Where it's like Black readers and authors should also be safe in your subgenre. At no point should it be like this is a space for white people to feel comfortable. That's not good. If that is what you're willing to defend, then you're already on like a very treacherous slope. You're not in a good position.
Wait. What one was?
Oh, that was a book club pick, and I'm not going to be messy and do it on your channel, Heather. But if it was on mine, I'd just go ahead and say what I had to say. But I'm not going to do that.
I don't care.
It was a book club pick, and because the author of that book also was Black, that everybody felt like it was justifiable, and that we didn't know anything about the book because we hadn't read it.
Right.
We can't use common sense.
Right.
Ray, go away.
I think there is like I don't know if it must have always been this way, probably, but there's just like a large group of people who want to see awful people get rehabilitated. Like, it doesn't matter that they committed war crimes. They're hot. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of people who actively like that and who seek it out. And I also think, honestly, that it's a big thing, and we've seen this in the discourse, but it's a big thing too when it comes to like religious books or spiritual books, or because Jesus changed them. And I was like, but did you actually have to pick a war criminal? Do we have to do that?
Why does it have to be? Now that girl knows she wrong for that. I'm sorry.
Breathe, stop.
That girl knows she wrong for that. Oh no, Ashley. Oh no. And I just left that girl Raggedy City and just told somebody about how
Raggedy. This is not our channel. We can't do this.
Bree, don't listen to Ashley. My channel is your channel.
Raggedy. That is Raggedy.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, again, like, I don't know. If it's not surprising for you to do it, then that's already, like, obviously. Of course you would. I wanted to come back to this, KJ. I'm so like Rue was Black in the books. I actually don't even understand this one at all. Because she was written as
well, they were upset about that. They were upset. But you know another community where you see this stuff?
What?
The comics community.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
That's another space where you see a lot of that, even if
Yeah.
kind of stemming off topic again, but that just made me think about that. Like
Go for it.
someone posted a kind of, they did a fan art and it was Iron Man and Wonder Woman. But of course, they're two different, that's Marvel and DC mixed together, which if people are going to complain about that, I could understand that. But
Please,
Wonder Woman in the picture was black.
please.
Mhm.
And people were upset because Wonder Woman was black. And I'm like, it's so wild that there is a black Wonder Woman and has been since the 1970s. And y'all are
Mhm.
just not aware that you automatically flip out when you see someone create a fan adaptation, like if there was a crossover and Wonder Woman was black. You lose your mind when actually Wonder Woman at one point was black and still is right now in the current runs of comics. It's
The
Yeah.
comic community will stress you out.
yes, they will.
It feels like they are 20 years behind, babes. 20 years at least. But
Yeah.
my thing is this, not to bring it back, 11-hour video.
Bring it back. No, 11 hours ago.
Oh, I was about to say, this girl must be stopped.
I mean, she should be stopped anyways.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, we must throw the computer away. Throw the camera away.
But you know what? That's what her audience likes.
In the redemption arcs, got
They're happy.
Nazi romance.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm talking to Winnie about this when we get off. 'Cause this-
There's a reason why that audience is very different from this
Yeah,
audience.
yeah. Not a lot of overlap.
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that is real. What? Y'all done broke my heart with that. Well, not really broke my heart, but dang.
I thought you knew that.
I
I
didn't
thought I
know
told you
that.
that.
No, I didn't know that. I've stayed away from certain accounts because
Oh no, this was a while ago.
Yeah.
It was ages ago.
This was a while ago because I
ages
had
ago.
popped off on Instagram about it.
maybe I forgot.
There's been a lot of things that have happened between that and now.
Yeah, it has.
The indie author that I had to think. Oh gosh, I can't
Nothing has
remember her
changed
name.
though.
Wait, is this the indie author who got mad at you because you were like
The book had incest.
the book had incest? And it's
Yes,
just like between that book was a mess.
it was a mess. It was a mess. Hold
Oh
on.
man.
I have never
crazy.
forgotten about that one.
Dang, what other question did I miss?
Okay. What do you want more tropes or less tropes of?
I want the communication tropes to die. Go straight to
You mean miscommunication?
miscommunication. There we go. Sorry.
There
I'm
we
like,
go.
don't communicate. Don't say
do not speak to me right now.
close your mouth.
So what Bree wants is all the positive communication.
Right.
People who talk to each other.
I'm just saying, but no,
Mhm.
miscommunication tropes suck. Grumpy sunshine, I hate. If you could just let go of those, and I know you romance writers love them, but my thing is, don't be an asshole to me. Then I find out that you had hardship and you had put on a barrier, and that's why you were a bitch to me when I was only kind to you.
Yeah.
I hate reading those type of books. I'm like, dang, that person was so kind
Yeah.
to you. But I also get trauma, but I just don't want to read.
I like Grumpy Sunshine, where the grumpy is just quiet and self-contained and not actually an asshole, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I like that type of just, I don't know, very, very quiet personality. That doesn't mean that they're being rude, but then sometimes you have Grumpy Sunshine and it's like the worst person you've ever met
Yeah.
is the grumpy one.
Yeah. I don't know if I can say what is it, like anatomically correct names on your channel?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay.
You're fine.
I think we should just say vagina and penis. Like
Yeah.
he's calling it our moose stick.
I am so fine with just like
But
dick. I
let's
don't need
talk
anything
about
creative about it.
Yeah,
I just
you don't need to get creative.
I
I
don't
think there
need velvet covered shaft. I don't need
no, I don't need
Wait, what?
velvet covered shaft. Have you never heard that one?
No.
I don't need he thrusts his sword into her silky folds. Like, I don't need that.
I
No,
don't
thank
like
you.
member either, Renee. I hate member. Like,
Yeah.
not
member.
silky folds. You're not gonna mess it up.
Yes.
That's crazy.
oh.
That one.
Pink
I
love
don't even
pocket.
want to know what this is
Yeah,
from.
okay.
What do you mean mood stick?
Oh,
Who used that?
The moose stick.
Apex.
Apex of her thighs.
That's a real thing.
Not the chocolate covered love drop. Y'all out of pocket in the chat. The what? But yeah.
No.
Her folds always, it doesn't do anything for me. It just makes me think of
that's
laundry. But maybe it does something for someone else. Not the anaconda. Oh, Apex. In what way?
The apex of her thighs, so where everything meets and joins.
Okay. That's how you know I don't be reading enough romance. to know that.
Oh man, there's so many.
Yep.
I do want to go back. I can't remember who said it now. But someone said that they wanted more talk and not just smut. And I agree. I love having sex scenes in my romance. I do, but I want to actually feel like there's some sort of romance happening. I want to feel like I'm watching a relationship, and not just like, I don't know. Some people they really are writing sex in place of a relationship instead of communication, instead of conversations, right? It's just, we have a problem, let's have sex.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. Like if the book is just that, that's fine. Market it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But a romance, like there's a balance that you can have.
Yeah.
And bring back more fade to black.
Yes.
But
And
not everybody has that imagination.
there
But
are
sometimes even books that do have sex on page
you can
also have fade to black on page in the same book, because you've had whatever the scene is that is the important scene. Like not everything needs to be on page in every little detail.
Well, and to be clear, you can have a lot of sex in your book and it still be a romance book and not erotica, because they are different genres. Romance, despite however much sex it has, lack of or not, is about the central couple and their relationship and has that happily ever after. Erotica is just about the sex. You don't have to have any sort of guaranteed happily ever after. You can. I mean, you can have one. But if you take the sex away, there's no story. Whereas a romance, if you take the relationship away, there's no story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think I don't mind this if you have just moved, or if things are changing in your life, but then like you should be getting some pretty quickly, one way or another. You're talking to your neighbor, you're talking to your coworker.
That's a red, yellow flag for me for sure, Renee. The romances where the characters ain't got no friends.
Yeah. And again, like, I don't mind if you have a lot of sex. I do mind if I get to the end of the book and I don't know why these two should want to be together, other than the fact that they have good sex. I didn't read it. I don't know.
We don't talk about Sarah Janet over here, Jessica. we don't talk about Sarah and Faye and the TT guy and none of them.
I don't want to read a sex scene and be zoning out or feeling like, when is this going to be over? If you're going to write a sex scene, I I want it to at least be good. Like, I want you to have gone through, edited that book, and been like, no, this is worth keeping in here.
Yeah,
You know?
it's
What do
actually important.
FTB means?
What?
What do FTB means?
Fade to black.
Oh.
Took me a second. I was like,
Okay.
words, leathers, where do they go? Yeah. Like, I want, as much as I like sex in my books, and that's why if you do want Fade to Black, you're probably not going to get a lot of recommendations for me, simply because that's not my preference. I like having sex scenes. But at the same time, I'm there for the romance. I don't really care how much or how little you include sex in the book.
Yeah. I think this point on enemies to lovers, most of the books that are labeled as enemies to lovers aren't enemies to lovers to start off with. It's not even.
If they're going to slap someone,
but if they're going to slap someone,
they better be getting stabbed. Like, that's.
Yeah.
I was reading this book, and I think it was in Enemies to Lovers, and I forgot the name of it. But I know the author, that I know Heather knows the author, but it was like two spies, kind of like they were both in the dangerous.
Katrina Jackson? She has a spy one. I don't know if that's what you read, though.
Was it a Rose?
Oh, no, that's Christina C. Jones.
Oh, yeah.
She was the assassin before. Yeah.
She had a guy in there who I felt like they were lovers to enemies, enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one counted.
Yeah. No, it would count. But Christina C. Jones knows how to write characters, and she really knows how to write dialogue also.
Oh, yeah, she's good.
I feel like I'm always leaving her books so happy with that part specifically.
I don't get a lot of romance, but that Black woman can get my coins.
She's so good. Genuinely, she's just so good.
She's fantastic.
And
reading her shit, I read like maybe 4 or 5 of her books. So
yeah. And I think that her strong suits are not easy to find. Like, it's really hard to find books that are strong in that area, honestly.
Yeah. And she makes you still think about the characters after you. I think that's a writer's superpower to do that.
We love Christina.
Yeah.
There was a comment ages ago, and I can't remember who made it, but it was around bully romances using enemies to lovers as their trope. And I would like to see that go, because that's a really hard sell.
Bully romance?
Yeah.
The thing?
It's a huge thing, Brie.
It's a huge thing.
It's a whole subgenre.
I see that and I go the other direction. It's like, no.
It's hard to find one that I like.
That's interesting.
Yeah, those are. I feel like the biggest thing with this is that because it's popular, there are so many mediocre versions of it. Like, if you can give me excellence, absolutely. But so many of them are not good.
Damn. So what tropes are good for the authors in the crowd?
I actually like rivals to lovers. I think that dynamic can work really well in the hands of a good author.
Yeah. I hate that you got to do those signifiers, but
Well, I'm just thinking, because last month we read, or Heather and I read Fated Blades, which is a rivals-ish to lovers sort of sci-fi romance. But it was actually they're business rivals, and it was really well done. And I'm like, that's when it's done well, you sit there and go, that's a really cool dynamic to play with. But yeah.
But also, like they were rivals because their families were generational enemies, and these two had never actually talked to each other, and they treated each other with respect even though they were reluctant allies that were forced to kind of work together for this thing, again because they were adults. And like that type of dynamic I can really appreciate and can understand growing into more. You only dislike this person based on their family name and you didn't even know each other. So once you're around each other and you find out how much you have in common and how much, you know, you appreciate the way each other's minds work and just how like on the same level you are, it's easy to see that dynamic grow. But again, like they had respect right at the beginning, even when they were
good communication.
Yes. Yeah. Just adults. Adulting.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullying. And you know, there's a lot of people that love it. There's a lot of people that read it all the time. I've read some and enjoyed it.
The world is so vast.
I can't read
There's
nearly a lot, but
it's such a big moment.
that was such just a saga. Truly.
I would like this not to happen. Like this would be nice if this didn't happen.
Dang, I forgot about the author who said that she died and then she
Oh my word. That was something.
Laughing, I guess.
What did she expect to happen when she admitted that? Like truly.
What do any of these authors
I would have gone to my grave pretending to be dead. I would not ever have come back.
I would have
to be dead. Hell, rebrand under a new name, and if you want to keep publishing books, just don't ever tell anyone that you were that person.
Show your face. Don't tell us your name. We don't have to
know.
No. I love A Marriage of Convenience.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how ridiculous the setup is.
Yeah.
We have to get married to save our paper route.
Whatever.
Like, the people need their papers.
Yeah.
I love it. I think part of it is the again, a lot of times I think it's reluctant allies in A Marriage of Convenience. And I really like that. I like that journey from nothing to reluctant allies to more, whether that's friendship first or just not comfort, but comfortability, I guess. That's not really like that's the idea that I want, but not really the words I'm searching for. But
I get it.
Like they're okay being in each other's space and being with each other, and then it becomes love.
Yeah. As they begin to communicate and get to know each other.
Yes.
I do like forced proximity. Give me some weird reason why they're stuck together.
I agree. I mean, I love a good
you're like a little tip
enemy spy or something. Hey, Megan.
Hello.
Yeah, that's me too. I'm like, what do you mean you all broke up and were apart for 10 years? No. But, you know, honestly, all of the tropes, you've got 50%. Well, you've got 30% love it, 30% hate it, and then people in the middle who go either way, just depending. I will say for like tropes that I would like to see more of, it takes a special author, I guess. But I really like reading about characters who know what's up. They know what's going on. They're smarter than everybody else in the room. They're plotting, they're scheming, they're planning, they're pulling it off. They are you know, they're doing what they need to do and they are getting away with it. I love that. And so many times I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Do you have no survival will at all? Like, do you not care if you live or die? Because right now you are trying to die actively. You are like throwing yourself in front of the
Good damsel.
sword. Please, I'm begging you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is like, I know this is not the right word to say, so I'm just gonna say it because I don't know the word to say. I don't like stupid characters.
Me neither. I'm like, what do you mean the reader and every other character knows more than you? Why do we know? You've been living here your whole life. We've been here for 2 minutes.
You've been living your whole life in Pleasantville.
You should know.
You know what's going on in here.
Oh, I sadly, very sadly, because it was an anticipated release and I was really excited for it, and I was really disappointed by it. But I read a character like that today where I was just like, there was this one thing, okay, we didn't even get a resolution because this is the first book in the series, which I won't be continuing, so I guess I'll never find out. But she's using this magic, right? And her she was a black character, but her fingertips as she used the magic were becoming like completely black, like nighttime, like no color black, right? And she was like, it's just ink from the book. And I was like, what do you mean? No, it's not. There's no way. You can't get rid of it. You're feeling like it's growing. What do you mean you think it's from turning the pages of the book and the ink is getting on your hand? This is obviously going to be a very bad thing in the future at some point. And you are so dumb, and I hate it here.
So every time she was turning the pages, the ink was
She like, kept using magic, yeah. And then she was like getting, because she was getting magic from this book specifically.
Oh, I get what you're saying. She was assuming that it was.
Yeah, she was assuming it was like ink stain. I was like, and she was like, I think this is the price to pay to use the magic from the book. I think it's ink on my hands. I was like, you mean like them corrupting your soul and taking over your body? Because that's what I think is happening. Like, I'm not assuming ink stain.
I think.
Oh,
don't quote me on that.
I was. But yeah, everyone knew more than her.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yep. I think someone else also said no more third act breakups, and I would like that too. I like an external conflict.
Yeah, I feel like Demon's Dream. Yeah, Demon's Dream is probably more urban fiction than Mafia, even though they're kind of in the Mafia, kind of ish. Criminal organization, at least. That was such a good book, though.
Yeah, unlikable characters that are made to be too unlikable, I would like that to stop as well.
Yeah. I don't want to be annoyed reading your book, right? And I can understand being annoyed if it's for a purpose. Like, even like to go back to the Hunger Games, which is an example that, most people know the context of. Of course, you feel annoyed and irritated and frustrated and angry about the injustices of everything that's happening in the book. But it's for a purpose, right? It's not just it's not just the characters being annoying or the writing being annoying or like, let's just throw up an obstacle here because we can. It was very purposeful. And obviously, a lot of the point of that book is to make you very uncomfortable with the way that things currently are, right? So in that sense, I don't mind it, obviously. Again, it's purposeful. We're and there's more to it than just that. You're not only feeling annoyance throughout the entire book. But if we are just talking about two people talking in their bakery, why are they annoying me?
Yeah. I'm reading this series. It's called The Witches of Keyhole Lake, and it's good for the most part. but a couple of the main characters get on my nerves sometimes.
Mhm.
So I can't just read them. It's like 17 of the books, and I'm on book 7, so I can't just read them like quickly. I have to
Yeah.
take a break because some of the main characters are like Southern and annoying.
Yeah.
And because I grew up with that specific brand of person,
Right.
I can't deal with that right now. So I have to take a break.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes fake dating is just like, this has got to be creating way more problems than it's fixing.
I feel like there are certain romance tropes that I don't want to read, but I'm down to see it on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
And that is fake dating.
Yeah, I dislike this too. I really dislike Secret Child. Yeah. I guess the only time I don't mind, there's like a couple of very specific books where I'm like, well, that trope is in it, but I don't care. I love this book. I would do anything for this book.
One of them is a Kate C. Wells book, isn't it,
Kate
Heather?
C. Wells. You know exactly what I was thinking.
I didn't even know Secret Child trope was something that existed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I think the only way to make that trope work where you have a secret child is to kind of break my heart a little bit, which I obviously don't like. But like, because it's just such a big thing that I need it to be very emotionally involved and like people lying to each other and and not really being their fault, you know? And in order for that to happen, I have to feel so horrible for them and be like, oh, my babies, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's a good point, Scarlet Moon Creations. That's a good point. I knew somebody was going to comment on my loud typing, and it had to be you, Jessica. It'd be people within the house, who come for it.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't.
That might have even been me, honestly. I got clickety clackety.
Well, it was too, but I was, I was me, and I was like, damn, I should have muted myself before I typed. And then I said, somebody's gonna come for me, but then I said, someone's gonna come for me, and it had to be Jessica.
Wow. Really?
Just saying, invite me to more
for you
in the future. I do feel bad for being 10 minutes late.
You feel bad? What? Are you talking about tonight?
I was 10 minutes late. That's correct.
Right. That's what I remember too, for sure.
I got a baby at home. What do y'all want from me?
Oh, you're busy. Okay.
This grown baby. What do y'all want from me? You hear her laughing. Got her feet on me. She relaxed.
Take care of her. What do you all want from Synopsis? This is my last point, because I would do a lot to just get synopses that actually tell me what the book is about. I do not need this vague, but will he come back or break her heart? I don't need that. I don't need it.
You don't want them trying to hook you by playing with your emotions.
Just tell me it's a vampire and a human that, don't like each other very much, but have to work together. Great. Wonderful. I know whether I'm going to pick this up or not.
I'm tired of go ahead, Steph. I got to figure out how to say it.
That's okay. I was just going to say, I'm the worst person to ask this question for because I don't read them.
Guys,
if I pick up a book, it's either the name of the author or because someone has recommended it and given me a synopsis of their own.
I'm trying to start a movement here where we get better synopses.
I don't read them to even have a comment on this. So when I saw this question, I was like, I'm not going to be able to answer it because
what I sucky people.
What I would like though is the names of the characters in the synopsis, because
That
when
would
I do check it, I would like to have their names, not just first person synopsis. I would like a description of the book if I'm going to read it.
I would also like to retire. This is Cat Vinus meets
Mhm.
Batman.
We were
And,
The
talking
comps.
about that.
and then you read it, and there's one line when they're like, "Oh my God, he talked to me like I was Batwoman, and she was Cat Girl," and you're like, and that was the only time that they meet. That was the only time that the story made sense.
Yeah.
I need us to stop making comparisons that don't make no goddamn sense. I just need us to retire it. They don't make no goddamn sense. None of them.
No.
This is
No.
boy meets world. And it's about a 2-year-old girl trying to figure out life as a 2-year-old. Where was the boy in meeting the world?
Oh my word. Whoops. I
Stressing me out.
almost banned someone, I think, but I didn't.
Actually.
So coming.
This is a synopsis.
We'll fix it.
I was going to say, this isn't about a synopsis, but if we're talking about things to include, if you have weird, difficult to pronounce names, particularly if you're a fantasy book, can you please include a pronunciation guide?
I
Please
love
and thank you.
it when authors put it at the end.
Same. I love it. It helps
I
me so much.
love it. I'll be like, thank you. Because Fei Fei is going to be Fei Fei.
Yeah.
We don't know those names. We don't know those
Yeah.
characters. They're
No.
strangers in the streets.
I
Okay.
And it's
also,
Wrong for
I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I really struggle. Whatever my brain decides is the first pronunciation that we're going with, I have a hard time changing it after the fact.
hello.
So if you can tell me right away, even like I really appreciate when you introduce that character and you like I don't mind. Give me a parentheses with the pronunciation right next to
Yeah.
it. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah. Because I kept calling you Ho Booktubes. And you said, and I said, it's Ho for here on out, you know? So that, you know,
I
that
don't mind being
so
home book too.
tell me your name is, it looks like, when I read it and I'm like, oh, Bridget. And you're like, Brigade. It will take a minute for me to get to Brigade. I definitely do that.
Yeah. Footnotes are good as well. That helps.
I love a good footnote, man. That's why I can't wait to get into Babel. I just had to get in a better headspace.
Yeah. I want to know who we're talking about and what their relationship is to each other. Like I just is it friends to lovers? Is it enemies to lovers? Is it a mystery? Just tell me. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need our genres to be correct on Goodreads too. That's what I
Yeah.
also need.
I am begging them to not just let anyone add anything to anything.
I'm just tired of being catfished by thrillers.
I'll go to look down at I was telling Steph this before we got on live. I'll go to look down at the bottom of the book to see what it's classified as. And it's classified in contradictory
Categories.
sections. I'm like, which one are you though? I don't know.
Mhm.
And neither does anyone else.
Exactly.
I could not care less about maps. I know a lot of people love them.
Oh, I love a good map.
Could not freaking care less.
I love a map just because I like visuals, but I have absolutely no use for them because it doesn't make any sense to me regardless of what you say because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty and I like it because it looks pretty.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. I like the maps that are attached to the book, not the maps that are separate because I know I done lost that. Like, come on, let's not be rude. But I do want to say thank y'all for letting me come to the live, even though I was late.
I'm so happy that you came.
Just 10 minutes, not too
has
much.
abandoned us, so I feel like it's time to end.
Yeah, I was about to head out anyway. So
yeah, it's like honestly, we kind of continued a little longer because you were here, and I didn't want to. didn't want to go away.
And that's why I'm an influencer, everyone. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You are an influencer. You influence me all the time.
I try. I
Mhm.
try to do what I can. But thank y'all for keeping the live up, because y'all probably was already done. And I'm like,
No.
okay, let's get the question.
We were getting close, but we weren't done yet.
Yeah.
But no, I'm so happy that you all came and did this with me. I really just want to talk about it with all of you. You know how much I love all of you and love having you on my channel and everything. So I was happy that everyone was available and everything. I was really happy about that.
Glad it was on time.
And we showed up. Eventually. We were
Yep.
all here.
We were, man.
So,
Ashley always got to come on late. That's crazy.
Bree, if you were here, you would know she did. She was late.
I know she was.
Here.
Growing up.
No, I don't care. I love that you all show up for me. So this was a really
good
fun
discussion.
conversation. Thank you, chat, for being so active. You made it very entertaining and fun. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.